What is going on, everybody, here on the eve of no, actually not on the eve, but the end of the college football season here as Michigan wins the national championship. We usually do college football showdown on Fridays, but I'm here with the instant reaction with TJ Hopkins here and my main man Christian Simpson from the Daily Blitz.blog. Go ahead and check that out. I'll drop the link in the podcast for everybody. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. But ladies and gentlemen, your University of Michigan Wolverines are the CFP national champions, the first in program history, the first since 1997, first outright since damn near the Truman era. If you guys don't remember 1997, they had to split it down the middle, if I'm not mistaken there. But guys, what a game. Well, really not what a game, but thoughts on the game before we kind of get into the stats of the game. I'll start with you, Christian.
I mean, I said it. The winner of Alabama and Michigan was going to win this football game. Plain and simple. I mean, I just didn't see anybody from Texas or Washington being able to stand up to and challenge either one of those programs. And I mean, coming into this game, I said it on Twitter before the game. Alabama and Michigan was a dogfight. Texas and Washington was a track meet. So you got the best of both worlds in this game. You got the team that could run it up and down the field, and you got the team that likes to be physical and punch you in the mouth any chance they could get. And that's what I said was going to be the key for Michigan. Could they do that, and could they dictate the pace of the game in their favor by running the football? And they did that. Yeah, Washington had a couple of opportunities, but Michigan was just better in each phase of the game. I love the defense that Michigan played. Cover 2, cover 3, coverage underneath across the board. And most importantly, they did a pretty good job of neutralizing a pretty prolific receiving attack of the Washington Huskies.
TJ.
Well, from the gate, Michigan set the tone. Like, they opening kickoff, you think Washington did something good. They pinned them. I don't even think Buddy got to the 20-yard line on that opening kickoff, and Michigan just walked it down their throats. Right?
Walked it down their throats.
Donovan Edwards, 41 yards to the house. And then you get the ball back, and then you did it again. It's 14-3 in the blink of an eye. And I also think for a minute there, Washington was playing like, hey, we just happy to be here. Because that first field goal that they settled for, and that's exactly what they did. They settled. If I'm that Washington head coach, like, hey man, I'm being aggressive. I need 6 here. I need 6. Now don't get me wrong, I understand, taking the points. But at the same time, like, you got to show Michigan that, hey, we're not scared. For a minute there, it looked like Michigan's over-aggressiveness was going to come back to bite them, because Washington, they hit them with a couple screen passes, and they got big chunk plays off those screen passes. Like the tight end would fake like he blocking, and he'll just, the minute the edge rusher runs past him, he leaks out for a little check down screen, and he gone. They was gashing Michigan off that one. I've always felt for years that Harbaugh always had better rosters and better players than those at Ohio State. Ohio State just always had the better quarterback. And J.J. McCarthy, since being named the starter at Michigan, has been phenomenal.
Now he's what, 26-1 now.
26-1. Yeah, like I just hope people don't look at this final score and say Washington got blown out or they didn't belong. Like, no, this was a one-score game going into halftime, and for majority of the second half, like, this was a close game. Like, this was like Washington had their opportunities, they just didn't capitalize.
Yeah, man. And going into it, man. Look, Blake Corum, 21 carries, guys, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns. Offensive player of the game. Actually, your defensive player of the game was Will Johnson, who had that beautiful interception. That was actually the clutch interception when Washington was driving, and Michael Penix threw that interception. I believe it was in the red zone on them. Donovan Edwards, like you said, 6 carries, only 104 yards, 2 touchdowns. Felt like that game last year against Ohio State when Blake Corum was out, where he just gassed him for those long yards. And that's what Donovan Edwards is, man. He's a guy. He's a strong running back, man. He can beat you inside, outside. 303 total rushing yards. That's a championship game record, fellas. More rushing yards than Washington had total yards.
Total yards. Bully.
Which is saying something.
Bully.
Michael Penix Jr., one of the best quarterbacks, in the game in college football, Heisman finalist. But he definitely is going to wish that he had a better game than this one. 27-51, 255 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. And his best wide receiver, Rome Odunze, 5 receptions, 87 yards, no touchdowns. But it's just like it seems like the magic ran out, right, Christian, right, TJ? This Washington team, played it close most of the season with a lot of teams.
Yeah, and then eventually ended up catching up to him because I could give you 3 or 4 different instances from the regular season in which they should have lost. Should have lost to Oregon the first time, right? But they did. Okay.
But they didn't.
Who let you in?
How I catch up? Like, no, how I catch up to him if they didn't lose?
Man, why you let him in, Izzy? Like, damn.
Hey, hold on. What you always say? Respect your elders.
I'm older than you. Stop it. Nah, but
go ahead, Christian.
Listen. I mean, look, Washington had a great year. There's no denying that. They really came out of left field. I don't think anybody expected this from them. Got by Texas, got by Oregon 2 times. You could make a case for Oregon State playing them tough because I thought Oregon State was going to beat them in Corvallis.
There was a bunch of games. I mean, Washington State, they had to beat Washington State by a field goal. They had to beat Arizona State. They let Arizona State hang around. There were a few games that Washington, kind of treaded it close a little bit. And I always said all season long, even leading up into this game, I said that, even against Utah, backup quarterback, right? And they lucky. I mean, TJ loves Cam Rising. He didn't even play in that game, right? It was the second and third string quarterback. Arizona, who's a really great team, one-day ball game. They had played them real close. So my thing is that, but the thing is that I thought that kind of, prepare Washington for this moment, right? All those close games, you always elevated your play and you were always finding a way to win. I see both sides of what TJ is saying. Oh, but they didn't win. They did win, or they didn't lose. And I can see what, Christian's saying. What I'm saying is that where they treaded it close and there were a few games where they should have lost and it did catch up to them, where it's like, they didn't play their best football in the first half like they did in a lot of games down the stretch. They didn't play their best football against Utah. They didn't play their best football in the first half against Oregon State. They damn sure didn't play their best football against Washington State. And both times they didn't play their best football in the first half against Oregon. So, and it all caught up to them against the best team and that they faced all season long in the University of Michigan in the first half.
Yeah, definitely. And, you see the difference Blake Corum makes because last year he was out and Michigan gets upset at the hands of TCU. And you could sit here and say Blake plays last year. We're talking about Michigan in back-to-back national title games. But just look at the difference he makes. When you feed him the ball, you continuously feed him the ball, he wears down the defense. I mean, he is such a difference maker. And Donovan Edwards, look, I think this is the best duo of running backs in college football. It's no disrespect. I know, Izzy, we have been talking about K-Trent Allen and Nick Singleton, but these two are game changers.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Even though it was a 1-score game, guys, I actually thought Michigan. This game felt and we just got disconnected from TJ, but this game felt a little. This game felt like Michigan was ahead by more. Even though it was a 7-point game, even though it was a close game, like TJ alluded to, I feel like this game was just, Michigan just
You never
never
felt you never thought
did.
Washington was gonna win it.
Yeah, I never thought Washington was ever going to win it. I never thought Washington was going to come back and tie it up. I thought Michigan was just always just ahead of the ball defensively. I thought they made the plays when they needed to. They made the two big plays in the red zone, two turnovers there on Michael Penix Jr. There. I mean, Jesus, man. I mean, this is. I mean, Dylan Johnson. I mean, all we could say is another thing is like, what if Dylan Johnson's foot isn't, tore up, and he's healthy? Maybe they could have ran the football a little bit more effectively. But I mean, I'm not making any excuses. I mean, he had 160 some yards. He had a hell of a game against Oregon on that same bad foot. You know what I mean? He had 2 touchdowns against Texas.
Well, they got to a point for them in this game, like they weren't. It was clear they weren't even trying to run the ball.
Yeah. Yeah,
like, I know Dylan Johnson's your bell cow. He's your main guy, but you got at least 2-3 other dudes in that running back room where you can give the ball to and like, hey man, we got to keep them honest at least. We got to have some kind of run game. Ain't even try. Yeah. Michael Penix threw the ball 51 times.
Yeah, man. I mean, like,
yeah, it's terrible.
I just think that their game plan obviously was to test out the Michigan secondary, right, Christian? I mean, it was we're gonna test them out. We're gonna run it a little bit, but we're actually, we're gonna test them out. And they always say, look, Washington goes for the most shot plays in college football. I mean, they always taking shots.
Yeah, I'd be taking shots too if I had a receiver with the caliber of Roman
3 receivers with
I mean, look, Jalen McMillan is a number 1 on any other team in college football. Put him on Alabama. This is Jalen Milroe's go-to guy, right? Yeah, Michigan just did a great job of neutralizing that big play and forcing them to earn everything underneath.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. And so, yeah, hey, look, everybody, you guys tell me in the comment section what you thought about this football game. And possibly who your early favorites. Quick show. And the thing is that I'm happy. That first game, we all knew that like you said, we all knew Bama and Michigan was the national championship.
Yeah, the winner of that game was going to be hoisting that trophy.
That trophy. And I think if Bama would have won, this game would have been the same damn thing. It would have been the same result. I think Bama would have won by a couple scores. And that's why I think Nick Saban was like kicking himself. Obviously you don't make it to the national championship, but he knew, like, man, look, we beat Michigan. Hey, we got a really good shot at winning the national championship, even if we play Texas again. Even if we play, because he's going to make those adjustments against Texas. And I feel like Texas would have posed a bigger threat to Michigan because of the run defense that Texas has.
But you know what, Izzy? We get that matchup. I was looking at the schedules. We get that matchup in week 2 in the fall. Texas goes to the big house. So I got a feeling game day is going to be there.
Ooh, absolutely.
Man, I might even drive to Michigan for that one. On some
absolutely. Yeah. I don't mind driving to Michigan. That's going to be a hell of a game right there. And we don't know.
That really is.
We don't know who's going to be the quarterback. That kind of leads into my next segment. Congratulations, first of all, congratulations to the University of Michigan for winning the national championship, first CFP national championship in program history, and first since 1997.
Izzy, before we go on, y'all just brought up something interesting, right? Like the winner of the Rose Bowl usually has gone on to win the Natty. So I want to, since the introduction of the college football playoff, how many winners of the Rose Bowl have become national champions?
Just one. I think Michigan is the first one because
Georgia didn't win it the year they won it?
Nah, because they ran into Alabama, and Oregon beat Florida State in the Rose Bowl, and Oregon fell to Ohio State. That's when Zeke just ran crazy.
Michigan's
the first.
That was the first one, wasn't
it? And so It's interesting now. So this is the end of the 4-team era, and now
Yeah,
we usher in the
the 6 year.
12-team era, right? And so it's going to be interesting because now you're going to have guys that, usually, with the transfer portal and everything, especially like a guy like Ollie Gordon. And I will get to him. He could have left to another school, right? Because Oklahoma State is getting decimated with transfers and all of this other stuff. But Oklahoma State with Ollie Gordon is still going to have a decent shot at possibly making the CFP with 12 teams, right? So you got a lot of guys that are like a guy like Quinn Ewers. Like, he knows he comes back to Texas. I don't care if Arch Manny's there. Quinn Ewers is going to be still the guy. He's going to have a shot to make it back to the CFP. A guy like Dylan Gabriel, right? He could have probably went into the NFL draft, but he decided to transfer to the University of Oregon, even though Dante Moore from UCLA is transferring to Oregon, right? So you got a lot of guys that are like, hey, look, I don't got to go to the pros. We're going to stay here. We're going to try and compete for a national championship since the field is expanding. And also, the NIL has changed the game as well.
Changed the game completely.
Right. changed the claim completely. Like guys like Shador Sanders. I mean, Shador should probably come out this year and he'd be a first-round pick, right? But at the same time, he's not coming out. So he's going to stay at Colorado. And, if they have, 9, 10, 11 wins or whatever in the Big 12, they could possibly make the CFP next year, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of different things with the CFP expanding and stuff like that. It's going to be a game changer for guys that would leave earlier, and they're going to say, hey, you know what? We're getting money in college, and we're going to have a chance to possibly win a national championship.
Yeah, and to kind of just add on to what you said, I think the entire landscape of college football is going to be a lot different next year because teams are leaving one conference and joining another. Remember, Texas and Oklahoma are joining the SEC next year, and Washington and Oregon, I believe Oregon State, they're going to the Big Ten. So we're going to see Michigan and Washington play each other a little bit more.
Man, I'm gonna be real because I ain't been on here in a while, and I wasn't a part of any realignment talks. Man, I think everybody in for a rude awakening.
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially Texas and Oklahoma in the SEC. Like, it's cool to be like, all right, we play one SEC team a year, and then that's it. Nah, homie. 1 week is Bama. The next week is Georgia. The next week it's Auburn. The next week is Tennessee. The next week, like you're going into the gauntlet. Like, you're going into the gauntlet, and don't get me wrong, it's all a money grab. I know what it is. It's all a money grab.
Yeah, absolutely.
But at the same time, it's just the term professional student literally has a new meaning now. Like, we used to make fun of like 5-year, 6-year, 7-year guys still in school, still playing for whatever reason they still playing. But like now, like Izzy said with NIL, the term professional student ain't so bad now, is it?
No, not at all. I mean, shoot, look at Sam Hartman. My guy stayed in school for 6 years. We
man, got a full beard. He got a full beard and a mortgage.
and a mortgage. I mean, look. Let's stay close to home, TJ. Look at a guy. I know he probably ain't maybe getting some local NIL money, but a guy like Rocky Lombardi stayed in school for 7 years.
7 years.
7 years. You know what I mean? Like, come on now. He's, so yeah, no, I do agree with you guys. And also, I mean, you look at some guys that are also, the recruiting game as well. Guys are like, hey, look, we ain't got to go to Bama now. We don't got to go to Georgia. We don't got to go to we don't got to go to all these schools to these top programs. Like the top 10 program or the top 5 programs to possibly get a shot at maybe winning a national championship. A lot of these guys just want to go get playing time, like a kid like Malachi Nelson, who probably was going to get the keys maybe handed to him at USC going into the Big Ten with Caleb Williams.
He goes to Boise State.
He going to Boise State. You know what I'm saying? Like, and if Boise State goes undefeated, they might be on.
And you got another guy. And then you got another guy in Kyle McCord He leaves Ohio State
Right.
to to transfer to Syracuse.
To Syracuse. That's to
Syracuse.
possibly win the ACC. And then let's look at a 5-star recruit in Dylan Raiola. He flips from
He
Georgia
flips his commitment.
to go to Nebraska.
Nebraska.
You know what I mean? So like you got guys, this whole playoff expansion and the NIL has changed college football. It's the expansion is going to change, but the NIL has changed it forever. And you got guys that are going to schools where maybe they weren't likely destinations. So one, they're going to get playing time, and now with the expanded playoff, now they have a chance to actually making the college football playoff. So, I think the playing field is starting to get a little even now when you're starting to look at it. And I think that leads to my next subject. And I hate kind of doing this a little too early, because of transfers and stuff like that. The transfer portal's open. My teams to watch out for. Obviously, we got the top ones. Carson Beck's coming back to Georgia. They have had a loaded class for the last couple of years. Texas, we know Quinn Ewers. He hasn't made a decision yet if he's going to stay in the NFL, if he's going to go to the NFL draft, or is he going to stay. Likelihood is Cristobal says that he's going to stay at Texas, which does what for Arch Manning? You know what I mean? Like, what is Arch Manning going to do? He's going to sit behind Quinn Ewers for another year. Alabama, Jalen Milroe's coming back. All those guys were young that were played. I think Alabama should possibly be, number 2 in the nation. Michigan, I can't count out Michigan. Orgy's probably going to be the quarterback. We don't even know if JJ McCarthy's going to go. JJ McCarthy might come back, to run it back with Michigan, which is scary. And then Penn State, Drew Aller. You got the 2 running backs, Nicholas Singleton, Katron Allen, a really good defense coming back. Oregon, I just mentioned like Dylan Gabriel, Dante Moore transferring. They're gonna have some guys coming there. But I guess, what are your guys' teams to watch out for, or a team that you want to watch out for next season?
Yeah, I definitely agree. Definitely agree with 5 of those: Georgia, Texas, Alabama, Michigan, and Oregon. Penn State, I don't know, because
Be respectful.
Why are you here? Like, yeah, you look, Penn State, they're not equipped to stand up to the likes of Ohio State and Michigan. They don't have the offense to keep up with them, and we saw that against them this past season. You take away the run, you bottle up their running game. They don't have a consistent passing attack. Their style of play can work against Iowa, against Minnesota,
Illinois,
right, against those teams, Michigan State, but
Wisconsin.
that doesn't work against. That doesn't work against Ohio State and Michigan. So yeah, I agree with everybody except Penn State.
No,
well, I just put those teams. I put those teams up there, and I put etc. because I want you guys to let's start the conversation. The only reason I put Penn State up in there is because I do think they are going to be a top 8 team next year when the polls come out.
Yeah, they probably will be.
Most of their offense is coming back now, except for maybe a couple guys here and there, offensive line running, but most of their offense is coming back. That was a young team last year, sophomores and juniors. I think most of that team is going to come back next year.
All right. What's his name? James Franklin. And I was just messing with Christian about to be respectful because he actually was. James Franklin is starting to get looked at like how Harbaugh.
Bingo! He just took the words right out of my mouth.
Like for years, Harbaugh couldn't beat Penn State. He couldn't beat Ohio State, and he struggled against Michigan State. Fast forward now, James Franklin, he can't beat Michigan. He can't beat Ohio State. That Michigan State is not what they was. Not what they were 4 or 5 years ago, but in this business, they were literally getting ready to run Jim Harbaugh out of Michigan because he wasn't beating Penn State and Ohio State. He was winning 9-10 games a year, and his 2 or 3 losses, one would be to Ohio State, the other one would be to Penn State, and they were ready to run him out of Ann Arbor. And now James Franklin is going through the same thing. What was he at before? What was it, Vanderbilt?
Yeah.
You hire a guy out of Vanderbilt who is who was the bottom of the barrel of the SEC. Like back in them days, it didn't get no easier of a win than seeing Vanderbilt on your schedule if you were an SEC school.
Mm.
He somehow managed to make them conversation worthy. Never like not that they were even ever gonna win the SEC, but it was like, hey, Vanderbilt ain't no easy out no more. And Penn State, mind you, they went through a terrible scandal. Although, like, so you hire a guy who's squeaky clean. You brought him in to basically revamp the image of Penn State, and for what it's worth, he's done great. He just can't beat the upper echelon. I think another thing to look out for is, and I'm curious to see what they do with the transfer portal, like Izzy brought up, and them switching conferences. Is the flavor of the summer was who? Colorado.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, no, I totally agree. I think what we tend to forget with Colorado is that it was and they were right along the lines of how many wins I thought they were going to win too. I think it was like 5, 6. I
Yeah,
didn't
they got
think
what,
once they got
4?
out the gate, I thought they were going to win more than that. But then you started to see, some of
The chinks in the armor.
differential. Well, it is. Well, it's not even just that. It's just like you said, man. Like you get all these transfers. It doesn't matter. Like you're the number one team in the transfer portal. That's because of volume. You get so many transfers coming in. Now give these guys a second year in the program, right?
Yeah.
Now he's bringing in his recruits. Now Travis Hunter, Shador Sanders got another year under his belt playing
Cormani
D1
McClain.
competition. Yeah, Cormani McClain playing D1 competition. Now they're moving to the Big 12, which is, I don't want to say the Big 12 suite, but I'd say it's tailored more to what Colorado actually
Well,
does.
Oregon. Well, Texas and Oklahoma leaving.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna say it. What you call it makes it like you say wide open. Because not only are they coming, I think Arizona and Arizona State they Big 12 now too, right?
And Arizona's no slouch. I talked about it all the time. Arizona got
And I'm
Fafeli
just
or whatever his name
curious.
is,
Yeah, I'm
quarterback.
just curious
Good
what
as hell.
Shador is gonna do with like because like he like if you look at his numbers, you'd have never guessed that they only won 4 games with the numbers that he put up. But then you look at the
Oh, well,
amount
he
of
was the only reason. He was the only reason they were in any games that they were in.
like
They
they
should have beat
started.
Stanford. They
Yeah, you
lost
should
to
have beat
Stanford.
Stanford. You let one dude carve you up in the second half about 250 yards.
Yeah, yep.
So yeah. Obviously, like you said, like the teams named, like these are the what you call it, the old faithfuls, the old reliables. Like we know at the end of the day, come around this time of year, Georgia, Texas, Bama, Michigan, Oregon gonna be in the picture. You're looking for somebody in that 6 to 12 range. It's like, hey, like you said, can a Oklahoma climb back up in the ranks? Can a Oklahoma beat some of these teams? Can a Florida
Mm-hmm.
State with a healthy Jordan Travis, who's not on this list, and I'm surprised they're not, can a Florida State get back into the picture? Because we already know, like, had Jordan Travis been healthy, they probably don't get left out of the playoff.
Yeah, they're a playoff team.
Yeah. Well, no, and yeah, I don't have Florida State on there, just because of the fact. Here, I'm going to tell you guys this: the so it took Michael Penix 2 years. It took Bo Nix 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
When you get these transfers coming in, it doesn't. I mean, Jalen Hurts was the exception. One season, he had a damn good season with Oklahoma. Took
But
him
look
into
at
the
where he
CFP.
came from before that
Look where
one
he came
season,
from.
though.
Right. So DJ Uyunglele transferring to Florida State, I don't think he's gonna. I think he's gonna have. There's gonna be some issues of him adapting to the system. Even though the system that Mike Norvell runs is perfect for his play. And then also on the flip side, like Oregon, you got what's his name? Dylan Gabriel. I just talked about Dante
Mm-hmm.
Moore, who was a freshman for UCLA. He had some struggles in UCLA, but both of those guys they're gonna first year in Dan Lanning's offensive system. So, it's hard for transfers. There's some guys that were the exception. I just said Jalen Hurts, but it's always hard. It usually takes 2 years for guys to really make a difference and in their new home. As we saw with Bo Nix, as we saw with Michael Penix Jr., right? So, as we saw with Quinn Ewers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Quinn Ewers took him to the CFP national championship. So, it usually takes 2 years for a transfer to do something. That's why I think Colorado is due up next.
Yeah, I think Quinn Ewers in Texas. I think Texas would have made some noise last year had he not had his season-ending injury. Like, keep in mind, this year's game against Bama was a rematch. They was kicking Bama's ass till he got hurt.
Yep.
They was moving that pill up and down the field. Then he goes down with a season-ending shoulder injury, I think, and it took a walk-off field goal for Bama to win that game.
Yeah.
So go ahead. You good?
No. Go ahead. Finish up.
I'm good. Good. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, like, look, yeah, like, just to piggyback off of what you said. I mean, Texas, like you said, Texas, could have been good in both years, and that would have been, 2 years straight, and that would have been, that would have been another exception. But like I said, Quinn Ewers, second year, transferring his new home, took him to the CFP. He comes back to Texas the third year. I mean, I think they're probably the favorites to win the national championship maybe next season.
I will say this before we can move on after this. I think, me personally, the transferring has gotten a little out of hand, and I think the board, I think they're gonna limit how many times a kid can transfer. I think they're gonna say, hey, you can only transfer max 2 times. Like, you transfer that second time, hey, and it don't go your way, hey, tough titty, you gotta ride this out, because we ain't finna have y'all bouncing from. This is DJU's what? This his second time transfer, second or third transfer? Yeah, bro. You have
this is his third year transferring, third time transfer, or second time transferring, in 3 years, in as many years.
You gonna have to ride this out, man.
He's transferring because Oregon State's the last of the Pac-12 teams, but he knew that though. I think he knew that going into the season. I think that what he was busting for was, I think that he figured, okay, I'm going to Oregon State. We might make some noise, and we might possibly, like, the style of play at Oregon State fit to him. That's why I think he's going to be successful at Florida State, because they run the football. Mike Norvell likes to run the football and work off a play action pass, and he's actually going to have better talent around him at Florida State with better recruits. But, with Oregon State, I mean, he figured, let me make some noise. It's the last year in the Pac-12. Maybe we can make the Pac-12 title game. Maybe we can make a big time bowl. Maybe I raise my draft stock a little bit. But neither of those happened. He lost some close games. But I mean, he did raise his draft stock a little bit, but not exponentially to where he's going to be like picked in the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft. That's not going to happen. So he's going to Florida State, to where, okay, the playoff has expanded. Now maybe I can get into the CFP with Florida State, and I can make some noise and be back on that national stage like I was with Clemson a couple years ago, or a few years ago.
Right.
So that's just me with DJ Uiagalelei. But anyways, moving on to the last subject of the night, and this is the way too early Heisman favorites. Look, at number 1, if Quinn Ewers does come back, he decides to come back. I think he's the
It's too many quarterbacks. I don't like it.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a quarterback centric game.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's the quarterback's gonna win. I mean, I did put up Ollie Gordon up there, put up Travis Hunter.
2 dudes out of 10.
I put up a couple guys. Man. Honestly, there's some good freshmen that are coming up. That are coming in, but I think these are solid 10 guys that should be looked at just to start the season, to get the conversation started. Quinn Ewers from Texas at number 1. If he does come back, he's definitely one of the favorites. At 2, we got Carson Beck from Georgia. He's definitely coming back. 3, I got Shador Sanders. I mean, I think they're gonna do a lot better in the Big 12. I think he's a second year playing at this level. I think Shador's definitely. I mean, he was a Heisman candidate for majority of last season until the real rails started falling off.
The wheels fell off.
Yeah, number 4, Jalen Milroe coming back to Alabama. I think they're one of the favorites to win the national championship. He's definitely one of the favorites to be a Heisman Trophy winner. Travis Hunter. Now, this is the big one because Travis Hunter has a big chance at winning the Heisman if he can just, if we can figure out how to limit where's he going to play at. Majority of his snaps, he gets tired way too fast because they got him playing both sides of the ball like he's in high school. This is, at a different level. So they're going to have to figure out where he wants to play at D because he can make a big impact both sides. Now, I don't mind him playing DB. I don't mind him playing DB, a lot, and then being on some plays for, on offense. Or if he's, playing wide receiver, then, put him in certain passing down situations as a DB where he can make a difference. But they're going to have to figure out, where he fits best for that team. But I think he's a Heisman favorite, an early Heisman favorite. Number 6, Ollie Gordon coming back to Oklahoma State. He's an early Heisman favorite. Probably one of the best, in my opinion, most complete back, I think, in college football this year. I don't know if you ever watch Ollie Gordon play, TJ?
No, but I can YouTube.
Yeah. Christian, me and Christian talk about Ollie Gordon a lot.
Yeah, this kid's the real deal because he can catch it out the backfield. He can run it in between the tackles and outside, but it's what he does without the ball in his hands because he can block as well. He'll pick up a backer, a safety, a blitzing corner. He just knows how to protect his quarterback's blind side. He's definitely going to be one to watch next year.
Yeah, he's definitely. I think he's ready to go to the pros now, but I think he's only a true sophomore, so I think he's pro ready right now. And then number 7, Nico Yamaleva. I don't know if you guys know who this guy is or the story of this guy, but him and Arch Manning, I think are both in the same recruiting class, if I'm not mistaken, Christian. And basically, Arch was committed to Tennessee until this guy committed, and Arch ended up decommitting from Tennessee and committing to Texas. That's how good this kid is. And he actually tore up Iowa in the Citrus Bowl for like 300 yards and 2 touchdowns.
I saw that.
Yeah. Can I ask a question? All right, so he tore up Iowa. Is that really saying much?
I mean, Iowa's a pretty good defense. They may have sat a few guys, but they played some of their guys. I mean, this kid, he's a true freshman, man. I mean, I'm just looking at the future here. I think in that system with Tennessee, I think he's going to be a hell of a quarterback. I mean, he was really talked about, coming out of high school, highly touted.
This would be their third straight QB in a row because you got Hendon Hooker, you had what's his name? Joe Milton,
yeah.
And now you got this kid.
Oh yeah, he's the real deal, man. I think this kid, he can run the option. He can run. I mean, our quarterbacks are mobile, but this kid's mobile. He can throw it on the run. He's got a strong arm, very intelligent. Good pocket presence. I like this kid a lot. And I mean, like I said, those highlights against Iowa really, showed me. I'm like, oh man, he could really play at this level. And then at number 8, Dylan Gabriel going to Oregon. I mean, that's TBD, just because of the fact I think Dante Moore, right? Him and Dante Moore, but I think Dan Lanning's gonna, I think Dylan Gabriel makes less mistakes. He's gonna make less mistakes than Dante Moore, and I think Dan Lanning is gonna realize that Dylan Gabriel is gonna give Oregon the best chance to win and make it to the CFP next year and win in the Big Ten. I think Dylan Gabriel is definitely a Heisman favorite. And then you got Jackson Dart at Ole Miss, definitely a Heisman favorite. As the playoff has expanded, I think Ole Miss has a chance out the SEC to make the college football playoff. And then round out the top 10, I got DJ Uiagalelei from Florida State. he's got a chance to make the CFP as well. And we'll see. I mean, Florida State, very similar, system, to what, Oregon State can possibly, run. I mean, similar, not all the way, but I mean, I like, Coach Norville has some, some things in place that can play to DJ's strengths at Florida State. So those are my Heisman favorites. Those are the Heisman favorites for PSW. What about you, Christian? You got any guys that you're looking out for next year?
I mean, right now, this list I think is as accurate as it gets. But one guy, I don't know if he'll make the noise. But remember, Georgia has a new running back now, Trevor Etienne from Florida.
From Florida,
yeah.
And look, Georgia to me is running back you. I mean, look at everybody that's been there: Herschel Walker, Todd Gurley, Terrell Davis, Sean Moreno. Yeah, they've had a few of
Nick
them.
Chubb,
Nick Chubb, right? And I think, I think Trevor Etienne is the next solid Georgia running back that we're going to be talking about.
Absolutely. I mean, we can also throw in the two running backs from Penn State. I mean, as long as they're in like a timeshare, I think if there's a guy that's possibly could be considered a Heisman guy, it's Nicholas Singleton. But as long as those two guys are in a timeshare, they're equally they're not going to be in the Heisman mix unless one takes off, or like Blake Corum takes off over Donovan Edwards or something like that. So yeah, I think, like you said way too many quarterbacks. We also got to see the transfer portal, right? And that's why I don't like to say, oh, the teams to watch out for. We're not going to know what teams are going to shape up until September, early September.
It's a couple of QB battles.
August.
Just on this list alone, so like you got, if Quinn Ewers decides to stay, like you said, you got Quinn Ewers versus Arch Manning at Texas. You got Dylan Gabriel versus the guy you just said at Oregon. You got DJU. You got DJU versus Jordan Travis at Florida State. Hey, I don't think Jordan Travis is going anywhere anytime soon. At least he's still gonna be there for at least a year, unless that injury is just gonna keep him out for a majority of next season.
I don't know if is Jordan Travis. I think Jordan Travis might be going to the draft. We don't know, because I think his eligibility is run out there at Florida State, unless he wants to transfer, because he's a 4-year guy from Florida State. Yeah, so unless he transfers, he's done at Florida State. DJ wouldn't have transferred to Florida State if Jordan Travis was the guy or coming back.
True.
So I think Jordan Travis is probably most likely going to pull what Hendon Hooker did, right? Hendon Hooker tore his ACL.
Still got drafted.
Obviously had to go to the draft because he couldn't transfer anymore. He was like a 6-year guy or whatever, a 5th-year guy, and sat behind whatever is on the PUP list or whatever the whole season for Detroit. I think the same thing is going to happen with Jordan Travis, whoever picks him up in the NFL draft. So. But yeah, anyways, man, look, guys, that's been a wrap. This has been a wrap for College Football Showdown for the season. Me and Christian will come back here later on in the year. I'm sad to see it go. Christian, man, what a hell of a season. What a hell of a season.
I'm sad to see it go.
I'm sad to see it go, man. I'm sad to see it go. And we'll start, and I'll start bringing back college basketball madness. I was waiting for the college football season to end. So I know TJ, you like to join on there with me as well. So, but yeah, man. Hey, look, before I end the show though, Christian, TJ, Christian, hold on, no, I got one last thing. What is the best memory of this past college football season? The best memory that you had all college football seasons?
Man, some of the best games that I've had the privilege to preview this year have taken place in college. I'm talking about Colorado TCU, Deion's first win at
I don't know what just happened.
I think we just lost Christian there.
Yeah, yeah. You had, like I said, you had the flavor of the summer with Prime Time and Shador and Travis all deciding to go to Colorado, and then they win their first three games of the season, and then all of a sudden they get blitzed, they get punched in the mouth by Oregon, and then
Mm-hmm.
it ain't looking too good against USC, and they battle back against USC, and you got that. You got the offensive coordinator from Michigan being made into a meme, crying and whatnot against the game in the game against Penn State.
And Penn State, yeah, that was a hell of a memory in college football. I got a couple. I got a couple. I think Christian might come back on here. He may not.
He might not.
I think the first one for me's got to be Georgia Tech Miami. I think the way Georgia Tech came back, and won that football game. They
Off the
got the
stupidity of
yeah, off the stupidity of Mario Cristobal. Yes, yes. The fumble. Here, Christian, my bad. Welcome back, Christian. Christian didn't even finish to tell his memory, but I'll tell you my two memories, Christian. I think that I my favorite memories in college football um, was Georgia Tech beating Miami at the Bell
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
on the Hail Mary. And Christian and TJ just said off the stupidity of the coach, right? Not and we almost saw it the other night with Texas Washington, right? Where it's just like, take a knee, dude. What are you doing? Why are you
what are
running the
you
football?
doing?
Yeah, so Georgia Tech winning that football game against Miami. And then also I think towards the end of the season, and I actually could do three memories too. Um uh I think well I say the third one for any of you guys, but the second big one was the Milrow Miracle.
Oh,
Fourth and
Auburn.
forever.
Oh yeah.
Fourth and forever.
Yeah.
Season on the line.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Milrow struggling most of the game, but also kind of keeping you in the game.
Yeah.
This game is, that you need this game. You can't lose this game going into the SEC championship game against Georgia. You throw it to the corner, touchdown. You
To
beat
Isaiah
Auburn
Bond. Mm-hmm.
to Isaiah Bond in the Iron Bowl against your in-state rival. And now all you have to do is win the SEC championship. You win, but the Milrow Miracle will forever, ever be engraved in this college football season. I think that epitomizes the college football season. That probably is the greatest memory. I think of most pundits, but especially for me this season.
Yeah, I think for me, Ohio State and Notre Dame, two.
Oh,
I know, man.
Oh,
You
oh,
more
got,
stupidity.
look,
oh.
you got two blue bloods, two iconic programs under the lights. It's Kyle McCord's first true road start, and he didn't look all that bad, but the defenses really took that game over. Red River, Oklahoma, and Texas.
Always good.
Texas and Alabama. I mean, Texas going into Tuscaloosa and punching Alabama in the mouth. And realistically, we should be talking about Texas beating Alabama 2 years in a row. But
In a
the
row.
Quint Ewers injury kind of, threw something at that. But you saw the difference. It's like what I said about Blake Corum tonight. When he's healthy, he makes a difference. Yeah, and just, before we end the show, congratulations again to Michigan. Go Blue. Hell of a job. They were mentally tough for everything they endured this year. Your coach serving separate suspensions on multiple occasions. He comes
Multiple.
back, and yeah, I mean, look,
I just.
the Natty, it's in Ann Arbor now.
I just want to point out I picked Michigan to win this at the start of everything. Y'all can scroll up in the chat and find that. I had them beating no, I had them beating Georgia instead of Washington. But I think this is the beauty of this is the beauty of the college football playoff. Like we had two teams there that no one expected to be there in Washington and Texas. Right? Like we didn't expect them to be there. We also didn't expect Jaden Daniels to come out of nowhere and win the Heisman. Like we always do. Like Jaden Daniels, you gonna be good, but you weren't gonna win the Heisman. Like Jaden Daniels said, I took that personally. I'm
I
gonna
think
win
that
this
has to
Heisman.
be a memory too.
What him winning the
Daniels'
Heisman?
season.
Oh yeah, this
Well,
season
just
was
his
crazy.
overall season. Just his overall season. I mean, I think. Obviously, I don't think any of us watched that Georgia State game. But what he did against Georgia State, I mean, it was Georgia State, but golly, man, that was this. I mean, shit, that was like if I was playing with my 5-star recruit on NCAA football 2013. Okay. So, you know, it was like he put up video game stats, but he did it like every game of the season. I think that has to be a memory too. Jaden Daniels transferring from Arizona State, Herm Edwards, you know, and going into a new system. And look, second year in the system again, second year in the system under Brian Kelly, and he wins the Heisman. You know.
Yeah,
I think that has to be a memory in itself, man. But I guess, you know, and then also, you know, speaking on the national championship game, you already got the SEC fanboys from Georgia already talking on Twitter, talking about Georgia would have played y'all, would have been a different story,
Man, ain't trying to hit
and
that.
all that other
you
shit.
didn't get the job done. You didn't get the job done. You didn't get the
you
job
know,
done. Stop being a hater. Stop being a hater. Stop being a hater. Let these boys have it. Let these boys have a moment.
Yeah,
and like Christian,
you know, it's already starting. It's already starting with the Georgia fans.
And like Christian like to say all the time, and we can end the show on this. You don't like something, stop it.
Yeah, you don't like something, stop it, man. But anyways, guys, man, it's been a wrap, man. We'll see you guys tomorrow for an NFL recap show. As we recap the last week of the season. And then now moving forward on Fridays, you'll probably catch college basketball madness. So watch out for that. A little late on that, but we'll start from towards the we're about probably quarter to middle of the season in. So nice little time to start that up again. We'll come back with the rest of the shows for the rest of the week. You guys don't want to miss that high content. But like I said, man, that's TJ Hopkins. That's Christian Sister from the DailyBlitz.blog. And I'm Israel Rivera. And in case I miss you, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Ladies and gentlemen.
Is it just the final one?
It's the final one, baby.
I mean, get out your feelings. Get out your feelings.
Who said you could come on?
Get out your feelings.
Holla at your boy. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out, guys.
I'll
talk to you guys later, man. Peace out, guys.